Hi, my losers. So, today I think that we are going to do a Draco X listener. I looked at the poll and I saw that you guys wanted me to do more Vance, but I don't know if I have any more written up for him, which is my bad. So I'll get to work on that, really soon. I just wanted to make it, the best for you guys, which kind of just makes me, want to go slow and stuff, you know? So, I'm looking through my stories, and I actually don't think I have any just Draco ones. I have fanfics that I've written. So I have Harco. I think I might just read one of my Harco ones, because it could be, I think you guys will like this one. It's really long though, so, okay, well, it's not that long. I found a different one. Okay, you ready? Let's go. Title, What We Make of Ruins. The war had ended years ago, but Draco Malfoy's life still smelled of smoke. Not the tangible kind that clung to hair and robes, though sometimes in the quiet hours when sleep betrayed him, he swore he could taste ash on his tongue. Sorry, I had to yawn. He swore he could taste ash on his tongue, but the kind that hung invisible in the air around him, as if every breath he took was a reminder of what he'd lost. The manor had been stripped of its grandeur, his family name stripped of its power, and Draco himself stripped down to something raw and bone-thin, like the wreckage of a building left to rot. He kept to himself these days, moving through the world with the measured precision of someone trying not to be noticed. Even when the Wizengamot, had ruled he was not to be imprisoned, there'd been whispers. Pity from some, disgust from others, never forgiveness. And then there was Potter. Harry Bloody Potter, who had the audacity to appear on his doorstep one rain-slick Tuesday evening as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Draco had stared at him for a long moment before speaking. "You've come to gloat, then?" Potter shook his head, water dripping from his hair, his green eyes steady and annoyingly unshaken. "No, I've come to check on you." That was the beginning. Potter didn't vanish after that night. Some days he showed up with groceries, setting them down on Draco's counter without asking if he wanted them. Other days he arrived with no explanation at all, leaning in the doorway with his arms folded like he owned the place. And sometimes, the worst times, he stayed. It unsettled Draco how easily Potter fit into the empty corners of his life. He tried pushing him away, of course. Snide remarks, cold silences, and the old habits. But Potter didn't leave. He had this infuriating, unshakable way of looking at Draco, like he could see straight through him, and worse, like he didn't mind what he found. It made Draco's skin itch. The slow burn between them wasn't fire, not at first. It was something quieter, more dangerous. The pressure of Potter's hand on the small of his back as he passed, the sound of Potter's voice in the kitchen late at night, coaxing him to eat something. A lingering gaze that made Draco's breath stutter before he could recover. And then, one night, Harry had pinned Draco with that look, the one that was all dominance wrapped in patience, and said, "You've been holding yourself together with spit and stubbornness, Malfoy. Let someone take the weight for once." It wasn't a request. Draco hated that his knees nearly bucked. It hadn't happened all at once. Potter wasn't cool. He was maddeningly patient. When Draco had a bad night, Potter was there, grounding him with one hand at the back of his neck. When Draco lashed out, Potter caught his blows in silence, refusing to flinch. Sorry, I can't read. I'm so tired. It's been a long day. Sorry, random. Draco broke, and Merlin did he break. Potter held the pieces together, his voice low and commanding until Draco's shaking eased. Jeez. It was control without cruelty, firmness without violence, and for the first time in years, Draco felt safe enough to surrender. The first kiss was late, months after Potter had started haunting his flat. They'd been arguing about what? Draco couldn't even recall. And Potter had closed the distance between them in 2 strides, his hand fisting and Draco's shirt dragging in close. Draco had expected anger. Instead, Potter kissed him slow, deliberate. His other hand slid up to cup Draco's jaw, thumb pressing just enough to tilt his head and take what he wanted. When Potter pulled away, his lips barely brushing Draco's, he murmured, "You don't have to keep punishing yourself." Draco didn't know if he was trembling from rage or relief. It was months more before Draco let him in completely, in every way that counted. By then, Potter's presence had become a constant. His coat on the back of Draco's chair, his mug beside Draco's on the kitchen counter. The sound of his low voice in the morning telling Draco what he was going to do today like it was fact, not suggestion. And Draco, despite every shred of pride, found he didn't want him to leave. Potter was steady. Potter was relentless. And when he pressed Draco down into the mattress for the first time, pinning his wrists above his head, there was no fear, only the quiet, aching truth that Draco didn't have to fight anymore. And this is part 2. I wrote it out in parts because, yeah. The first time Potter stayed the night without asking, Draco told himself it was temporary. He'd fallen asleep on the sofa, a rare, dreamless sleep. And when he woke, Potter was there, not sprawled beside him, but sitting in the armchair across the room, wand in hand and eyes half-lidded, but watchful. Draco blinked blearily. "You stayed." Potter shrugged. "You looked like you might stop breathing." The casual way he said it made Draco's stomach twist. He wanted to tell him to leave, to spit something venomous and reclaim the illusion of control, but his throat was too tight, and the words wouldn't come. There were nights when Draco fell apart, not in a graceful, cinematic way, but in the quiet, ugly way of someone who'd held too much for too long. One night in early winter, the sound of sleet against the windows dragged him into a memory he'd fought to bury. The wet, heavy sound of bodies falling. The cold, hard floor of the manor beneath his knees. He didn't remember sliding down the wall until Potter was there, crouched in front of him. Voice low and steady. "Breathe, Draco." "I can't." "Oh, why did I do that?" "I can't." His own voice was raw, torn. "I can't make it soft." "Yes, you can." Potter's hands came to his shoulders, firm and grounding. "With me, right now. Look at me." The way Potter commanded him, not cruel but immovable, forced his gaze up. Potter's eyes were unyielding, and something in Draco loosened at the sight. By the time his breathing steadied, Potter was sitting on the floor beside him, their knees touching. "You're safe," Potter said, quiet but certain. "I'm here. I'm not leaving." The surrender came slowly, not just in bed, but in everything. Potter began making choices for him, small ones at first. "You're eating this. You're going to sleep before midnight. You're not going to answer that owl from your mother." And Draco, infuriatingly, obeyed, because when he didn't, Potter had a way of closing the distance, tilting his chin up until Draco's pulse was pounding, and saying, "Don't make me repeat myself." It was dominance without force, authority without malice, and it dismantled Draco more efficiently than any war had. The first time Draco took him to bed, like he meant it, truly meant it. There was no rush. Harry kissed him until Draco's head spun, until his lips were swollen and his hands trembled from wanting. Every move was deliberate, a hand pressing into the small of his back, a thumb brushing along his jaw, the weight of Potter's body pinning him into the mattress like an anchor. "You've spent years bracing for the next blow," Potter murmured, his lips brushing Draco's ear. "You don't have to anymore. Not here. Not with me." And Draco, proud, stubborn Draco, let himself believe it. After, they lay tangled together, Potter's arm heavy across Draco's chest, their breaths still uneven. Outside, the world was quiet, snow falling into thick, soundless drifts. Draco stared at the ceiling, unsure if the tightness in his throat was from exhaustion or something dangerously close to gratitude. Potter shifted, pressing a kiss to his temple. "You're mine, you know." It wasn't a question, and Draco didn't fight it. And then I wrote this as like the epilogue, so. Winter in London was a grey, suffocating thing, and Draco had been settling, tentatively, cautiously, into the rhythm Harry had given him. They had unspoken rituals, now coughing in the mornings, Harry's hand on the back of Draco's neck when they passed in the hall, the quiet, grounding weight of him in bed at night. It wasn't happiness, exactly. Not yet, but it was survivable. And survivable was more than Draco had allowed himself to want in years. Until the owl came. It was his mother's handwriting. Thin and sharp, each stroke as precise as a blade. He almost didn't open it, but old habits die hard and cautiously, and curiosity still had claws. "Draco, you are aware the ministry will be holding the hearings this month. They intend to revisit certain cases. Ours among them. I trust you will not allow—" The rest blurred, his pulse roared in his ears, the cold, familiar dread winding itself around his ribs. The hearings, the trials, the possibility that everything he clawed back. The possibility that everything he'd clawed back, however fragile, could be torn away. He didn't hear Harry come in until the letter was gone from his hands. "What's this?" Harry's voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. Draco stood, bristling. "It's nothing." Harry didn't look at the letter. He looked at Draco, and that was worse. "Don't lie to me." The command in his tone sent a hot, humiliating shiver down The command in his tone sent a hot, humiliating shiver down Draco's spine. "I said it's Draco." Just his name, low and steady, enough to strip the fight out of him. When Draco finally told him, he'd expected anger, or worse, pity, but Harry's jaw only tightened. "They're not taking you back there, do you understand?" The words should have been comforting, but something in Draco's chest snapped. "You don't get to promise that, Potter. You don't control everything." Harry stepped forward until Draco's back hit the wall, until Harry's presence filled every inch of his space. "I control what I can, and I will not let them touch you." The quiet force of it left Draco breathless. The hearings came, and Harry was there for everyone. He stood behind Draco in the ministry corridors, a steady hand at the small of his back. He sat through the testimonies, eyes fixed on the Wizagonlet, like he could will their verdict. And when they tried, subtly, cruelly, to twist the questions into accusations, Harry's voice cut through, sharp and unyielding, until they backed down. In the end, Draco walked out free, officially, permanently. That night, he didn't fall apart. Not exactly. But when they were home, Draco found himself on his knees in front of Harry, not from obligation, but from something raw, a need to show, in the only language he trusted, that he understood what Harry had done for him, that he was his. Harry's fingers threaded into his hair, tilting his head back, those green eyes locking onto his. "You're mine," he said again, quiet but absolute. And Draco, proud, stubborn, ruined Draco, whispered, "Yes." This time it didn't feel like surrender. It felt like survival. And then, a little bonus scene. It was April when Harry finally cornered him. The air had turned soft, the streets smelling faintly of rain, and Draco's spot had taken on the lived-in marks of Harry's presence. A scarf thrown over the back of a chair, or case files on the coffee table, boots by the door. It should have felt claustrophobic. Instead, it felt inevitable, which was why Draco hated himself for still holding back. Harry noticed. Of course, he noticed. "You disappear when I touch you here," Harry said one evening, thumb brushing the inside of Draco's wrist. "You're with me, but you're not with me." Draco scoffed. "Maybe I'm just bored." But Harry didn't let go. His hand closed more firmly around Draco's wrist, and that quiet, infuriating dominance settled over his voice. "Try again." Draco's heart kicked hard against his ribs. "I don't know what you want me to say." Harry stepped closer until there was no space between them. "I want the truth." Draco tried to look away, but Harry caught his chin, forcing their eyes to meet. "Months, Draco," Harry said, low and steady. "I've been here. I've fought for you. I've seen you at your worst, and you still look at me like you're waiting for me to leave." The words landed like a blow. Draco swallowed hard. "Maybe I am. Everyone does, eventually. I'm not everyone." Harry's grip tightened just enough to make Draco's breath stutter. "You know I'm not going anywhere. Say it." Draco's pulse was a thunderous drum in his ears. His throat felt raw, and the words might cut on the way out. He hated the way his voice broke, hated that Harry's gaze softened without losing its intensity. "I don't know how." "Yes, you do." Harry's forehead pressed to his, their breaths mingling. "You've known for a long time." And maybe he had. But the truth was sitting heavy in his chest, aching to be freed, terrifying in its simplicity. "I love you," Draco said, and it felt like ripping open a wound that had been festering for years. "Merlin, help me, Potter, I love you." The relief was immediate and devastating. Harry's hand slid to the back of his neck, pulling him in for a kiss that was neither slow nor gentle. It was claiming, sealing. A quiet "I know" pressed into his mouth. When they broke apart, Harry's voice was rough. "Say it again." And Draco, stubborn, ruined, remade, did. And that... Oh, okay, there's another part. This is 10 years later. I forgot that I had written so much for this. It's almost over, don't worry. 10 years later. The manor was long gone, sold to some wealthy American witch who thought its dark history was charming. Draco lived in a smaller house now. All clean lines and light, something that looked nothing like the place he'd grown up in. Harry had insisted on the garden. "You need something living." "Sorry," he'd said, digging his hands into the dirt like the Gryffindor he still was. Draco had pretended to scoff, but he caught himself sitting out there most mornings with a cup of coffee, watching the flowers turn towards the sun. The war was a lifetime ago, the trials, the whispered names, the sleepless nights. All of it had softened around the edges, the way scars eventually pale. But the truth was, Draco still woke some nights with the taste of ash in his mouth, and Harry was always there when it did. It was raining the day of their anniversary, not the wedding anniversary. They didn't have one of those exactly. But the anniversary of the first time Harry had shown up on Draco's doorstep with no intention of leaving. Draco was in the kitchen when Harry came up behind him, sliding his arms around his waist. His hands were still strong, calloused from years of oral work. Sorry, I said that like 3 times. 10 years, Harry muttered against his neck. Sorry, I'm adjusting my glasses. Draco's lips curled faintly. I'm aware. Harry's mouth brushed his ear. Still mine. It wasn't a question. It never was. Later they sat in the garden under the soft patter of rain, a charm keeping them dry. The roses Harry had planted years ago were in bloom, their petals heavy with water. Draco glanced at him, taking in the faint hint of lines around Harry's eyes, the way his hair was still hopelessly untidy. You're getting older, Potter. Harry's mouth quirked. So are you. There was no sting to it, no need for defense, just the steady truth of 2 men who had built something out of the ruins and decided to keep it. When they went to bed that night, Harry pulled him close, his arm heavy around Draco's chest. Still waiting for me to leave? Harry asked quietly in the dark. Draco turned his head, pressing a slow kiss to Harry's jaw. No, he murmured, the word warm against his skin. I'm just making sure you stay. And Harry, in the unshakable way he had from the beginning, answered, always. Okay. And that's it. I kept confusing myself thinking that it was over, and I was like, what? But no, that's it. And I really, really hope you guys like this one. I know that it's not my normal thing because I don't usually just read my fanfics that I've written. I will eventually put them all into like Wattpad or like Tumblr or something, and just find a place where you guys can all put them. And when I do, I'll see if I can link them to the videos, or I'll link the videos to the thing, and I'll like post a comment about it with a link or something. I don't know, but I hope you guys really enjoyed or liked this one, and I really hope that like y'all don't hate me for this, because I do ship them and they're adorable together. And I have like Draco and Ron, because I don't know. Oh, sorry, I'm so tired. I have Draco and Ron because I don't know, I thought it was a cute couple, because like I love their little banter, and then I love like just the thought of like enemies to lovers, but that's kind of what Draco and Harry are. But like Draco and Ron, pure enemies to lovers, like like delicious. Delicious. Anyways, I have some of those, and I have like Draco, Ron, and Harry, and it's not like a threesome. Well, I mean, kind of, sort of, but not really. It's more of like they're all kind of friends, I guess. But you know, you'll see, because it depends on if you guys would like rather read them or have me read them to you. So if this one, like, if you guys like this one, let me know in the comments. And I love you, my babies. You have been fed.